Tomorrow, the only show on Indian television where you, the MSME, get center stage to voice your opinions and thoughts. This is ET-NA's special initiative to give MSMEs and entrepreneurs the opportunity to be front and center in every area that matters to you. Tonight on Direct Connect, a panel of experts will answer all your questions sent to us across industries later on the show. And we'll also feature Unfactory tonight on our Small Giant segment. On Direct Connect tonight, Vishal Thakur, co-founder of Contrata Universal, and Sunil Gupta, angel investor, answering all the questions our MSME viewers have sent to us earlier. Take a look. Gentlemen, as always, thank you very much for being with us here tonight. And let's kick the show off with a call that's coming to us from Vipul Thakkar. And he has quite a few questions, in fact, for our experts tonight. Vipul, go ahead.
And the question what I have is, there is a lot of tax-related simplification has been done, and the tax-based net is also expanded. So I just want to know from the jury in terms of, according to them, if government is looking for, or there is a possibility that elimination of income tax or simplification of the local state level tax is going to be possible or not. Yeah, other question which I have is, we always say that the best resource at the best time at the best location. But in practical life for SME, this is not always possible. So what is a better way of looking these resources and from where it can be sourced? And third question I have is related to how to choose this related technology, because the cost of technology and its equation is always going to be remain as a bigger question for small and medium enterprises.
Okay, so it's a three-part question. Thanks very much for calling in with that, Vipul. There's the licensing bit. He wants to know how to hire the proper fit HR team and also wants to understand technology. Let's start with the licensing bit, Vishal.
Okay. See, the kind of services that he is providing, which he says business process improvement, finance and accounting services, all of these services come under one particular professional service category, and hence there are no multiple licenses required. As we see India progressing from license Raj to one window scheme, government is progressively working towards making sure that less and less formalities are required to start and continue your business, including winding up your business. So I could say that this is one of the progressive moves of the government, whereby government is ensuring that a person is able to quickly start and continue the business, and the emphasis now is more towards trusting the MSMEs and the service providers with self-compliance and self-policing.
Regarding his HR, ideal candidate, what he should look forward is an MBA with a specialization in HR qualification, who can be a generalist. In fact, the SME companies normally should employ generalists who take care of day-to-day operation, employee policies, administrations, and payroll and compensation management. And in terms of his selection of technology, I would say, of course, it all depends upon the kind of scale of operation he has. But at the most, because of the digitalization, he should have accounting, HR, and some amount of operational issues getting computerized or automated through some software packages. Nowadays, in fact, I would recommend all the SMEs to go for a cloud technology where they don't have to invest upfront into hardware and software. They can buy those software in a modular form and scale as and they grow forward. At the same time, converting their CapEx model, which was earlier there to buy the hardware and software, into an OpEx model which suits the SME industry. So that is my recommendation.
Vipul, that's in response to your question. Thanks for calling in with that. Munish Gupta is calling in with this next question. Go ahead.
My question is, currently the MSME sector is very badly affected by the GST. The GST side many times does not open swiftly. It takes time. The set of liability does not show the area of default. It only keeps on saying insufficient balance. The MSME entrepreneurs does not own so much so that can afford the hiring of tax consultants on regular basis. Moreover, most of them are run by other family members or one or two members who have to look after everything.
Quite technical, but let me come to you on this, Vishal.
Okay. So Munish, what is happening in your case is that it's a classic case where, so many people are trying to access GST site because of this very small window period available. So government has acknowledged this as a technical glitch, and they are working towards enhancing the hardware capacity where multiple people can access to the GST server at the same time and the site does not crash. Because when the GST law came in, they said that the law itself said that, you know, the servers had provisioned with the capacity to process around 3 billion transactions per month. But right now the current hardware that is supporting it is supporting only up to 80,000 transactions per month, and clearly we are seeing 5 to 6 lakh people trying to access the site. It is bound to crash. So team at the back end is working to enhance the hardware capacity, and very soon, you know, this problem will be vanished.
Sure.
Till that time, yes, there will be some glitches or some kind of working capital blocking that is bound to happen. Another issue is what, you know, first 3 months of GST were transitional. R2A did not reflect a lot of purchases which were supposed to come up automatically. So for that purpose, government has clearly given a blanket notification and tweeted several times that in case if a person is not getting the credit of the purchases from the vendor, he can himself manually add that bill to the R2 and take the credit. Government is not going to question it for the first 3 months for sure. So government has provided several reassurances in the transition phase. So what Munish can do is, if some of his suppliers credit is not coming to him automatically, he can just upload it manually in the R2 and he will still be able to get credit and reduce the amount of money that he is going to pay as GST.
Okay, for those of our viewers, and just before I come to you on this same question, for those of our viewers who perhaps are not aware of what the R2 is, can you break it down?
Okay, so return filing under GST is very simple. So what they have done is they have broken the return into 3 parts, R1, R2 and R3. R1 talks about reporting all the outward supply or sales, R2 is talking about reporting all your purchases, and R3 is nothing but sale minus purchase. The difference is the GST that is to be paid. Now they have distributed this like this in 10 days of a month. So on 10th of the month you have to file R1, by 15th you have to file R2, and by 20th R3.
Sure.
So this is the logic of filing return.
All right.
See, I would only advise further on that digitalization and automation is given thing in future. Second, in terms of hiring a tax person, he did not have to hire a dedicated tax person. He can give a contract or get a contract with a GSP, which is called GST Suvidha Provider, which costs right from 2,700 to even 25,000 per year.
All right, fair enough. Munish, trust that answers your question on GST. Let's take in our next query, and this one is coming to us from P. Parekh. This is coming to us on our Facebook page, Leaders of Tomorrow on ET Now, and I understand this is also a GST question. He's written in to us to say that he's a manufacturer of basket type filter centrifuges and hydro extractors. P. Parekh says compliance with GST is very complicated and very time consuming. So is there any other way to update our data? He has a second question. He says banks are not transparent and don't give details of loans that they are giving towards SMEs and MSMEs. I don't know what kind of information he's requiring in terms of loans, but I presume he's approached banks for loans and it's been rejected. So let's break this up. Let me come to you in GST and then I'll come to you on funding.
Okay, there are many, there are these 32 agencies appointed by the government, officially appointed by the government, who are known as GSKs or GST Seva Kendras. For very minimum fees, they do the entire GST compliance for most of the MSMEs, and they make the job very easy. However, you know, as rightly said, that an ERP today is a must if you want to do GST compliance very smoothly. So I would advise Mr. Parekh to invest in some kind of an ERP, even a low cost ERP, which can help him process his entire accounting data seamlessly.
Sure.
See, in fact, just to add again on that, all the accounting software which were available in the country are now GST compliant. So they have that in their master data capacity to store your relevant HSN SSC code. So he need not bother about in terms of how he is going to store those master data. Second, in terms of funding, obviously there are again two kind of channels: bank loans, where he will need documentations with application form, KIC and other details. But again, he can explore some of the other ways of getting it financed through the various NBFC lending platform. And third, I don't know how many years he is in business, but there is also a platform for raising equity money through NSEs and BSEs, stock exchanges, where he can get it listed.
Okay. So get it listed. He can approach NBFCs
And the bank loans for the...
That's in response to your question. Thank you for sending us that on our social media Facebook page. This next query is coming to us from Kanwaljit Singh. Go ahead, Kanwaljit.
जीएसटी का था प्रॉब्लम, जीएसटी बहुत ज्यादा लगा दिया उन्होंने, मुझे जीएसटी की प्रॉब्लम थी और इसको उन्होंने बहुत जल्दी डेट रखी है देने के लिए वापस, इसको कैसे निपटा जाए?
So this question that Kanwaljit has called in with, we get this quite often, saying that we are being forced to pay on time, but our customers who are large customers, bigger companies, don't feel it necessary to pay us on time, so we are in a bit of a pickle. So what would you say?
In the penalty provisions of GST, there is a legacy provision which has been carried forward from service tax, that if there is a service provider who does not get paid within 90 days from the date of invoice, there is a provision whereby government will levy penalty interest on the recipient of the service. So here is something which he can invoke. But again, practically speaking, it is very difficult to invoke that provision, is because there is a long standing relationship with the customer, and the supplier is usually scared that if he offends the customer, he may recover his current money, but he may not get the next order.
Okay.
So that is actually based on relationships. Second is, there is again a legacy registration under MSME, whereby the large companies who are dealing with MSME registered companies are actually forced to pay within 90 days. Otherwise, they would again have to pay penal interest on the money that they are not paying.
Okay.
So I think it's a bit of a balancing act. So I believe a proper credit policy, and sending invoices on time, following it up, rigorous emails, reminder 1, 2, 3. If they have a proper collection process, I don't see any reason why payment would get delayed.
You can also get it underwritten, right? Your outstanding.
Yes, but that service under GST is still not active.
Okay.
So what government is now doing is they are setting up a new Government of India undertaking called Receivable Exchange of India, under which they would be providing a non-recourse factoring service to MSME, where they can underwrite their entire proceedings from receivable exchange and receive money upfront.
Sure.
So that's it's still on the way, and we hope to see it soon.
Sure.
Plus, the only other suggestion I would like to give is that he can optimize and ask his vendors and supplier to file their returns so that he can take an input tax credit and have a cash flow improvement, so that he does not get hit on, at least on those accounts, if his customer payments are getting delayed.
All right, fair enough. All right, gentlemen, out of time then on this episode of Leaders of Tomorrow. Thank you both very much for being with us here today.
Thank you.
Time for a break. When we come back, we'll feature Unfactory on our Small Giants segment. Do stay tuned. Back with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow, and tonight on Small Giants, we're bringing you the story of Unfactory. If you love all things arty, nifty and handcrafted, and if you love the suspense of discovering and unwrapping stories that come tumbling out of alluring boxes, then Unfactory is just the kettle of tea that will keep you whistling for more. Anshua Banerjee caught up with the founder of Handmade Marketplace to give you a piece of their story. Take a look.
India has an incredible history and culture of arts and handicrafts. Over the past several years, the handmade community has grown from a tiny niche to a fully functioning industry. E-commerce has revolutionized how artisans and workers sell their handmade items. Making traditional the new modern, Unfactory celebrates handcrafted items discovering art that speaks volumes without saying a word. If you treasure hunt your way through Unfactory, you will find an artist's soul, a piece of their story, some familiar and some quite not.
Anupama, you say that your love for Indian handmade got you to join and contribute to this fabulous movement. So talk to us about your initial influence and how you changed traditional into the new modern.
So as the name suggests, Unfactory means everything that's not mass produced. So here's where you'll find rare, unique, aesthetically high value handcrafted designer products. Yeah. What we saw is people need rare, unique, designer made handcrafted products, but they're always pegged as expensive. So the entire purpose of bringing Unfactory together as well is to make these unique handcrafted designer made products accessible to people, is to make it more affordable. As a team, we saw this fundamental gap in the market where we thought that the traditional crafts were not being popular, or there was a gap between traditional crafts being popular. So, and you met one of our co-founders, and she's a craftpreneur herself with over 16 years of experience. We seeked out artists who are working with traditional weaves, traditional crafts, but who are giving it a contemporary context, which is extremely relevant to today's audience. So, which is why if you see our lineup of artists, you will see ikat weaves or kalamkari prints being used on a laptop bag, and that's contemporary. So that was the journey. And that was the basis of traditional to new modern.
A secure and sustainable livelihood for all artisans and workers is a critical part of your job. Did you ever anticipate collaborating with larger players like Flipkart or Snapdeal to increase market share and visibility?
Actually, we never found a need to, or we don't find a need to. The reason being, the products in this category, the products that you find on Unfactory are unique, are rare, are aesthetically high value, designer made products, and they need a spotlight of their own. So when you keep these products on the platforms that you mentioned, they're like an ocean. It's almost like finding a needle in a haystack. And this particular category needs a lot of awareness and nurturing as well. They need support from the platform. And this particular segment category needs a lot of nurturing and awareness. And that's exactly what Unfactory stands for. And we are giving spotlight on these rare, unique, aesthetically high value handcrafted products. There are, these are the artists who make bags and who take joy in sewing it themselves, and they don't have a workshop or anything, but they take absolute joy to do all the stitching themselves. And we also have an artist who works with waste. So she works with tire tubes and upcycles and recycles them and makes it something functional, aesthetic, beautiful, like laptop bags, like clutches, like earrings. And we have some phenomenal skincare artists and who make 100% natural, all natural ingredients, all organic, and which are absolutely chemical free. And these are inspiring individuals. And so we gather our everyday inspiration from all our artists on board.
So there are already a lot of MSMEs in the traditional space right now who are losing out on being able to compete with larger players in the market. So what's your advice on how they can see commercial success?
We have a definite game plan and we're working towards it. But what we have realized and what we understand is that you have a unique set of problems. You have to identify with a unique set of challenges, unique set of problems, and come up with solutions that cater to those problems. So if you take a formula that's worked for somebody else, like a big player or anybody else, and you try to force fit that solution with your business plan, it might not always work because it's not relevant to you. So the key is to understand what your problems are and to innovate and to come up with unique solutions for that. And if we consistently do this, then you're bound to carve a niche for yourself.
So how do you see Indian consumers adapting to goods made by the traditional handloom industries?
We are seeing an increase in Indian consumers more and more adapting to the handloom industry or the traditional crafts. But what we also see is they all require a contemporary context to the traditional crafts. So if you can contemporize the traditional craft, like what we talked, say ikat on a laptop bag, or we have an artist on board who works with traditional handloom from northern Karnataka. They're called the Ilkal weaves, and she gives it this really contemporary and edgy design. She makes these dresses out of it, jumpsuits and palazzos. So there you're giving a traditional craft a contemporary context and making it relevant to today's audience, and hence making it more popular, more acceptable.
I want to talk finances. Talk to us about your funding journey. What was the initial challenges like to put across the first line of artists together, since you've always been a self-funded team, which is definitely not a small feat?
We are self-funded and we have successfully made it so far. When we speak to our artists, the idea of Unfactory resonates very well with them. That's because we understand their journey, we understand their interests, their motivation, their challenges at a very grassroots level. We speak the same language. When we speak the same language, they're absolutely assured that we are the right partners to go ahead with.
So when we are taking a customized product from Unfactory home, we can say that we are taking an artist's soul, a chapter of their life and a piece of art. So what are the next 5 years looking like at Unfactory, and what are the expansion plans looking like?
So just to give you a little bit of background, we started last year July 2016, and we did the beta launch. And the first year was more like an MVP, where we were testing waters, and touch wood, the result, it's been extremely encouraging and positive. Now this year we want to stabilize, and our key focus is to understand our consumers better and to focus on building an organic and sustainable business growth. In 5 years, we would like to take the entire various flavors of India and an artisanal community to a global level, to a wider audience, and we aim to be the front runners in the handcrafted industry.
Harnessing the potential and securing livelihoods for a number of artisans pan-India, Unfactory is everything the name suggests, as they dive deep into hours of experimentation and moments of creative joy. By bringing diverse ideas and influences to age-old techniques, these artists spiritedly work away at creating their best, knowing that someone out there will hold an ornament, a painting, or a piece of cloth in their hand, which is a chapter of their lives.
Completely out of time on this episode of Leaders of Tomorrow. If you have anything you want to say to us, leadersoftomorrow@timesgroup.com is where you can send your comments, or tweet at me at Sunanda_J or LOT_ET Now on Twitter, or our Facebook page, Leaders of Tomorrow and ET Now, is where you can leave your comments for us. Alternatively, you can also call us on that number you see on your screen. Thank you very much for watching, and here's wishing each and every one of you a happy Diwali.